We have been talking about sales track. We have been going through the basic lessons, which are our introduction, and we always review the first 6 lessons of sales track, and that is our starting point, our 15-second commercial, the use of qualifiers and tie downs, your personal borrowed story, your litmus test, and setting the appointment in stone. This area, this section represents basically your introduction to your client. This is your first blush, and we all know that first impressions are very lasting. Now, we've made it all the way through these first 6 lessons. We've come up to our first appointment, which we went over the last 2 weeks, and the goals in our first appointment is getting the prospects on the same page with the same goals in mind, get the prospects saying yes and getting them to agree, building rapport with the prospects and getting the credible information you need to accurately run their numbers. This is what we're truly trying to accomplish in that first appointment with the client. Now, we could have had a meeting somewhere, we could have met them somewhere, we hopefully already sent them videos, they have an idea of what this is. We've gone through the basic process and we've done our first appointment, and at the end of that first appointment, what we wanted to make sure of was that we had all of the information that we needed in order to run an analysis report for the client. Some of you may want to say savings report, some of you may want to say financial analysis. We have a couple different ways, running your numbers so we can find out how the program will benefit you. Some of you may not even want to label it. Whatever works for you in that area, but this is what we're really trying to accomplish on that first appointment, is getting the credible information to be able to accurately produce an analysis for the client. We talked about before leaving their presence, it's probably a good idea to excuse yourself for a moment, maybe turn your laptop to you, or if you're doing it in a webinar, pause the screen, and just make sure you have the information that you need to produce that analysis report before you leave. We talked about also, do you go directly for all the information with the analysis and then move directly into trying to close the deal. Now, I know that can be done, but that's a lot of information for the client unless you're really polished with what you're doing. They're really prepared with their information as well. My experience, my preference is to do a 2-appointment process with the client when it comes to trying to close the deal, get the information I need for the analysis, and try to close the deal. We do want to remind you with Sales Track, never convince anyone this is a program for them. Do not use the strong arm tactics, the hard close. What if you did this and what if you did that? No, let the program stand on the merits of the program, what their current financial situation is. Operate off of their true income, their true debt. Don't build scenarios. Now, we did talk about this last week, and I've talked about this a couple times. If you have a client and they benefit greatly from the program, or benefit, strong enough for them to purchase the program, just with their normal numbers, everything that they gave you, and they're willing to move forward, that's a client that qualifies. In that instance, I don't have a problem if you run a secondary scenario showing what it would look like if they sold one of the programs, and or if they had an extra $300 or extra $400 or extra $500 a month, whatever that looks like. But I don't want you doing that to get them to buy the program, to say, look, right now you don't have any money, but why don't you join the company? And then if you join the company, you can sell 1 program a month, and let's take that money and put it in discretionary now since you don't have any, and let's see what that looks like. That's what we want to avoid. If somebody already qualifies for the program and you want to talk to them about, if you just sold 1 a month, what that would look like, I don't have any trouble with that. I think that's actually building a very strong value proposition for a client moving into this process. Present the information through Sales Track. Use your sales tool and educate your client. Once you've done all you can do, the decision is truly up to them. We can lead and prompt, we can't force the issue. And I'm just putting this in the beginning of this because I want you to understand that in your sales process, at the end of the day, you want the client to come to a place where they truly believe they need this product, and they truly believe that they will move forward with it, and they truly believe that they will use the product, and this makes sense to them and who they are. So I just want to be very clear that we want to be very matter of fact when it comes to numbers and running analysis, and do it based off of the reality of the information that we have in front, and make sure that we're always presenting this in a fashion that I almost like saying make sure you're giving them the worst case scenario. That'll be probably the best thing, and that's why I say when you're doing the analysis, you're working with discretionary income. Let it stand on the merits of what it is, but get the most accurate source information that you can. Okay, moving into our lesson for tonight. Tonight's lesson is our first appointment questions. We finished that first appointment. There may be some questions they have. One of them, may very well be the all infamous, how does this work? There's a lot of different ways that you can approach this question. It's a program you have to qualify for. It assists in paying off your debt in typically 1/2 to 1/3 of your scheduled time. You can go back to, as I mentioned, it's a program that helps you reduce your debt in record time, or I help people, when the market's doing this, it does this. Remember, we're getting together tonight in order to run an analysis. That's what we've done, and the results of that analysis is where I'm going to be able to truly show you how the program works for you. This is what we've done tonight. It's a program you must qualify for that's been designed to look at all your variables related to your financial situation simultaneously and give you visual prompts to lead you to the quickest mathematical solution to zero debt. Did you watch the video? Did you have them watch the videos? Have you led them up to conversations up to this point? I mean, you could get this question and you've already done the analysis of the client. Okay, great. Yeah, I gave you all the numbers, I gave you all the information, but, really, how does this work? Well, you can go back to your 15-second commercial. You can go back to your personal board story. I mean, I've actually heard people say it works great for people that use the program, me, myself, and you can go right into your personal story. I had X amount of dollars in debt, $400,000 worth of total debt. I was scheduled to pay back $235,000 in total interest over like a 27-year period. And through the program, I'll have everything paid off in 9 years, and I'll save myself, $164,000 in future interest. I mean, that's how it's worked for me. I mean, it works mathematically, it works very matter-of-factly, and it's interactive with the client. So there's a lot of different ways that you can approach this, but trying to launch into a complete verbal explanation, I want to give you some short little statements of how does this work. But if you notice, they're almost deflectory. The programs, you have to qualify for it. That's what we've done is we've run the numbers. Now I'm going to see if you qualify by the results. And then our next appointment, we're going to get back there. These are almost questions at this point. If they're asking you this, you want to move them more towards I have the information I need when we circle back for our next appointment. I could, even if we set up the time, I can give you a demonstration of the product. We're going to go over exactly what the program is going to do for you in your given situation, so there's no guesswork involved or anything along those lines. It's a program you have to qualify for that's been designed to look at multiple variables concerning your current financial situation and make automatic decisions concerning your quickest path to zero debt. The automatic decisions, some of this language, I want you to think about what I'm putting up on the screen here. The automatic decisions are, look, you have this much money coming in the door and this much money going out the door. The program is going to decide, look, given the money that you have in place, if you want to pay this debt off and pay it off the quickest way, we need to take X amount of dollars and pay it towards this debt. And it's going to do that automatically. It's not going to do it because you prompted it to do so, or you came up with some formula, or you had to read graphs and charts and all this information to try to get that done. Now we have so many visual aids when it comes to demonstration accounts and videos and things of that nature. that asking somebody how does it work, it's almost like you want to say to them, did you watch the video? Have you looked at the information that we have online about the program? Have you gone to our Worth Unlimited corporate training channel? Did you look at the videos that I sent you with my replicated website? It's a program you have to qualify for that functions like a financial GPS and gives you step-by-step driving directions for the quickest route to zero debt. That's another way that, another way that it works is, what do we know about a GPS? Well, a GPS, if you get off track, it begins to follow you. That's how it's correcting your courses. Wherever you go, if you're off track, it begins to follow you to try to correct you and get you back on course. Our program does the same thing. That interactive way of working with you. There's so many different ways that, and we're ending this first appointment. Remember, they've already gone through the information. Maybe we asked the question at the very beginning of the appointment, which was, what do you expect to get out of this appointment? What is your anticipation for this appointment? Why did you decide to take this meeting? What is it that you want to know more about? What is it that appeals to you the greatest about the program? Right there, they may have asked you, well, I want to know how this works. Well, great. We're going to have our first appointment. I'm going to need this information during this appointment. We're going to run an analysis. From that analysis, I'll be able to show you how it works. Remember that language? I'll be able to show you how the program works. They may very well, at the end of that first appointment, after they've gone through, anywhere from 10 minutes to a half hour, maybe even 45 minutes, depending on how prepared they were, how fast you can type, how much debt they had, that if they ask you the question, how does this work? Hey, look, that's what we spent all this time doing, was gathering the information so I could come back and not just speculate on how it's going to work for you, show you exactly how it's going to work for you and why it works the way that it does for you. I hope that makes sense to everybody out there. No detours. If you deviate from sales track and for some reason you find yourself responding to the question, how does this work, follow up with, would you like to see if you qualify? What that means is, take a breather there. If you start down that path of trying to verbally explain this, well, the program does this, and you move money from here, and it gives you prompts, and it's going to tell you exactly how much money you have to move from this one to this one. If you start going down that path, you are going to absolutely confuse your client. This is the time you're near the end. You're at the end of that first appointment. You want to make sure that you say, hey, look, how does this work? To be honest with you, that's the information. I know you want to see if you qualify, and that's the first thing that I have to do. I have to take the information back. I have to look it over, make sure we generate a good analysis for you that's going to be beneficial to you and your family and your situation. So the first thing is, we have to see if you'd like to qualify. Would you like to see if you qualify? If so, let's shake hands, and when I come back for our next meeting, our next appointment, and hopefully you've already set your next appointment. You moved. We talked about that at the first appointment basics. We've got the information we need. We know that it's creating an analysis. We've set that second appointment. Okay, that second appointment has been set. I want to come back and I want to show you the results. I want to come back and go over what it is, the program to individuals. So stay on your sales track. Don't detour. Don't deviate from what it is that you're trying to accomplish and where you are in your process. Remember, your client wants to take control of the sales process. Your client wants to derail or deviate the sale to their advantage. So here's another one. How much does this cost? There's many different ways that we can answer this question as well. I'm going to go to Darlene Preston, and I'm going to go to Dr. Joan Hackenstead as well. Darlene, do we have you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening.
Hey, how you doing, Darlene? Let me go to Joan, too.
Hey, Joan, I hear the dog barking in the background. Yes.
Hey,
hi.
All right. Hey, since we're going through how to answer some of these questions, I just thought, how does it work? I'll stop on that one just real quick before we get to how much does this cost. Do either one of you have some different responses to how does this work? Remember, we finished our first appointment. We got the information we needed to run the analysis. This is like we're leaving that first appointment. We might get the how much does this cost. That's why we're not, we might get the, how does this work? Sorry about that. Let me go back to that slide. Yeah, let me get back to that slide. And so I was just wondering if you all had any other ways when you've been asked this question, like right there near the very end of that first appointment, you know, how does this work? Do you have any deflective statements? Do you go in and try to do it? Do you redirect it back to the video? What are your thoughts on that?
I use what you have on there about a GPS. I do go into a little bit more detail on the GPS, though. I'll ask them something to the effect of, have you ever used a GPS to get where you want to go? And people kind of look with a strange look on their face at me because obviously I've just kind of changed the subject somewhat. And they'll say, yes. So I say, fantastic. So you understand, you input the address where you want to go. And then what does your GPS do? It gives you turn-by-turn directions on how to get there. What happens if you miss your turn or if you hit road construction? It recalculates, right? Now imagine that type of technology, but for your finances. That's what we provide. Our program is going to look at money coming in and money going out, and it's going to mathematically calculate the fastest way for you to pay off your loans. It's then going to show you step by step, turn by turn, exactly how to do just that. Become debt-free in the shortest time frame possible. It will literally tell you, November 12th, 2018, move money from account A to account B in the amount of, down to the penny, and all you have to do is follow the prompts. It's just like when your GPS tells you to turn left in 500 feet, that's what you do. Now, and it will give you a 90-day action plan of what's going to happen. Now, just like with your finances or with your GPS, your finances are not static. So as your finances change, you simply tell the program, and the program will instantaneously recalculate to find the next fastest way to see how the next fastest way to reach your destination. Now, the best way to see how the program can help you is actually to have a demo of the program. So when I come back next week or at our next appointment, I'm going to actually show you a demonstration of the program so you can sit behind the wheel, so to speak, and test that financial GPS out for yourself. That's pretty much how I explain it.
All right, awesome. And so you will go into a little bit, or sometimes you may be a little deflective, or sometimes you may, so it just kind of depends as well, but you like a little bit more information, you tend to like the GPS. Darlene, what are your thoughts? Have you ever been, you know, at the end of that first appointment, if somebody asks this, do you tend to try to address it, or do you try to deflect it and move it to the second appointment, or how do you view it?
Okay, it depends on the first appointment and at what level, because generally I do mine in one, I explain it and do the analysis and try to bring it right through to the end in the first appointment, because I do 95% of my stuff right online. So I will show them the information as we're going. I do find that people, the information that Joan gave is spot on. It's exactly what it is if we want to explain it out. I try not to get into so much depth unless I'm actually showing it to them, because what we find is that what I have found is that a lot of people are visual and they get confused in certain spots sometimes, no matter if they have experience in mortgages, you know, the different businesses and things like that. It's easier for me to actually show it to them as I go. So if I'm presenting and they get lost somewhere in there, because I do present and demonstrate all at the same time, I will bring up a visual and I'll show them the one that has the GPS on it for the financial GPS side of it. And then I'll say, okay, you remember the car, blah, 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 doesn't drive itself. You have to drive and it rides along with you. Well, let's just refer that to your financial situation. And I'll show them that little video that we have that shows a financial GPS. But if it's, say I'm not as far into my meeting with them and I'm just kind of trying to set it up, for example, and so might say, well, how does this thing work? I'll go into a little bit more like it does show you what to do, when to do it, and to get you out of debt in half the time or less. What I'm trying to do by only giving them pieces of it is to keep that interest high, that curiosity high enough where I can get them definitely on that call, definitely making that appointment and wanting to see more. So I don't go into as much depth as Joan has, you know, perfectly explained, because a lot of people want to see it. and be very visual about that. So there are two parts of these appointments. One is when I'm just introducing them. If that question comes up, I'll bring them through it to say, hey, I can show you exactly how it works. Let's get that appointment set. So I try to come off the question and go into getting an appointment so I can show them. You know, because
Right.
if you tell them everything ahead of time, then they'll feel as though they know everything. Having been in the human resources industry for so long, when I get a 5-page resume, generally we don't read it because it's too much information. But when we do read it, we think we know everything we need to know about that candidate. But if you get a 1 or 2 highlighted interest, well, my interest will be piqued and I want to hear more. So I put that the same way I would put this business in the regard. If I give them everything, then they're going to think they know everything. All right. And then I want them to want more. And if they won't.
That makes sense. And where we're sitting right now is we've already done that first appointment with them. We're finished with that. We got that first appointment. We have all of their information, everything that we needed. So you answered the question perfectly. That sometimes you'll be a little bit brief with the information, and that was the main thing we're trying to get across. And maybe you won't go quite as deep, but we've already got that first appointment, and so this first appointment's already a done deal. We've already set our second appointment. These are just some of our closing questions for you, those of you in the field that we may get coming up at the very end of this. Now I've left Joan. If you and Darlene would just mute yourselves, I've left you off. If you want to jump in, because I'm going to go through a couple questions at any time. You just take the mute off yourself, and you can just jump in. You don't have to worry about interrupting me. It doesn't bother me at all. Another question that we may get is, how much does this cost? We have a variety of price points to fit any budget. That's one way of looking, but before we put the cart in front of the horse, the worth account is a program you have to qualify for. Let's see if you qualified, then it'll be more than happy to show you how it'll work for you. Again, we're finishing that first appointment. You may have already addressed the cost. It can range anywhere from here to here. It can range you $1,700 to $3,700. That puts you in a box because most people see the lowest number. To give out a number at this point without showing them the true value, I don't find it's as beneficial, but you are going to run into situations where you're going to have to give them a number. You're going to have to. They're going to, well, look, before we go any further, I need to have some idea of what this is going to cost me. So there you may go to a range. And if they've got a good amount of debt, you may want to go to a higher range. This could be $2,500 to $3,700. But there's many different ways of addressing this. Okay, how much does it cost? Well, the cost to you is, let's think about this for a moment. If I could save you, I don't know, 10 years off your mortgage and your other debts, if I could save you $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of interest, what would the program be worth to you? I mean, is there a dollar amount that you have to save before this is even viable? I can tell you that in every instance, yes.
I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry. Right there is something very important that I don't want us to glaze over. We need to find out the importance of this program would be to them. If we just I'm going to tell you 2 things. You mentioned some great points. If you say the price of this program before you give it a value, the person's going to remember the price and they'll remember the high side, whether they have a mortgage or not. They'll remember the top dollar. But if you give them a value and find out what it's of value to you to be debt free, what would it be worth it to take off 10 or 15 years off your mortgage, for example, or get rid of that student loan in half the time or a third of the time? What would that be of value to you? This program varies depending on how much we save you. So how about if we get all the debt in there first and let's see where it's going to go. And then I can definitely give you a price because the system generates the cost of the program to you. And then you get out of it. You don't have to worry about doing that.
Right. And in your particular world, Darlene, since you do most of your stuff online, a lot of your sales are done from analysis directly to sale right there. And so for you to move them through that process to go from analysis to close is comfortable for you. For other people that are doing a 2-part process, I just want to let you know that, you're going to leave them with that context of, look, there's a couple different price points, a couple different ways. Let's see how this comes back, and that's going to define it for us. we are going to get put in situations where we don't necessarily have that final analysis where we're going to be running a secondary appointment where we can actually give them a price. But I do want you all to think about the simple fact that each time you come across this question of how much does it cost, there's a couple different ways that we can approach it. We can approach it with value. We can approach it with price. We can approach it with cost. We can approach it with what's it costing you. At this stage, if you've already got their analysis and you're getting ready to leave and they're saying, what does it cost? You know, I'm going to have a much more clear, defined picture of what this is going to be financially for you and your family once I come back and we go over the results. And
Absolutely.
what it is that we've
but I'm talking about either way, Mac. Either way, if you don't have any information, you want to lead them that direction. So this is even before you run the analysis. There are people that are going to ask this question. And you're right. We have to figure out the value for what does it mean to you to be debt free. And that's where I have diverted it to back to them. What does it look like for you? Well, I'll tell you, when we can get your numbers in there, we can specifically tell you. This is long before we do the analysis. If that question comes up and I can't move them to finding out what their value is, then I can tell what the value of the program can be for them. I never give them a specific price.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense because, I mean, you can come up with this question. I mean, we're not right there at this point in the process, but you're absolutely correct. This question could have come up, you know, in the cursory conversations. How much does it cost? And they just press before they want to move any further and move anywhere with you. We're going to say that we've, you know, already kind of gone, you know, past that. That's already been addressed.
Can I jump in real quick, Matt?
But we need to move forward. Okay. How much does this cost? The price can vary depending on your qualifying for the program. Let's see if you qualify first. From there, I can show you exactly how the program will work for you and your finances. We need to see if you qualify for the program first. Then I am confident we will have a price that will fit your need. In all of these, that could be in your cursory conversation that you have with the client right at the very beginning. If they press you on what the cost is, but you'll have clients that will just bring you down, maybe in the very beginning, maybe at this point, at the end of your first, maybe at the end of your second appointment. You know, I need to know exactly how much is this going to cost me before I'm going to move forward. What I want you to be prepared for is you don't necessarily need to always answer this with a cost unless you are driven by the client to the point that the only thing that is going to satisfy them is the cost of the program. In doing this, you need to build value before you give any price. Building value is essential. Building value is a systematic approach. When value is established, price doesn't matter. That's something that I really want to get across to you all. The individuals that I know that have been selling this for a long time have had success in selling this. They build value throughout their process of their conversation. Dr. Joan, when she gives her 15-second commercial, when she gives her personal borrowed story, Darlene, when she's speaking to her clients and building into, can we get this appointment, can we get this analysis, it's a constant build of the value to the client. And the way that we do this, we identified this in that first 6 lessons of sales track with qualifiers and tie downs and all that, is we do this by asking questions to the client and finding out what is the most important to the client. What areas, what directions are they going to be the most swayed by? This helps us build our value proposition in those first 6 lessons. Moving into this first appointment, now we've received the numbers. They've trusted us enough that we are now finishing up this first appointment. We have all of the numbers that we need. We've proven to ourselves that this will run an analysis. We're trying to close it up now. Like I said, some people are going to close right here. Some people are going to move to second appointment. When prospect demands a price, comply only after your attempt redirection. You're building a value, going over your storyline with them, where you've been together, what this whole process has been. Never just blurt out a price. your client could come back and say, okay, great, I gave you all the information and everything, and this could be at the very beginning, and this could be at the end of your first appointment as well. Any of these questions could come at any place. I'm bringing them up here at the end of your first appointment because I want you to be aware of how you can navigate some of these. What does it take to qualify? Okay, well, qualifying, we both know we're not running a credit score on the client. We're not doing all of that. We're following a process, and qualifying for the program involves reviewing your current financial situation. We just went through the information. Basically, if they ask me at this point, what do I need to qualify? Well, I'm going to take your information back. I'm going to dot the I's. I'm going to cross the T's. I'm going to make sure that we produce an analysis that's going to work for you. If I have any questions, I hope that you'll feel open to me being able to get in touch with you. Once I've reviewed all of that information, I'm going to know where you fall with our program as far as how much benefit the program is going to be to you. That's why I want to set up the secondary appointment. I need you to understand that this is all going to be math. I'm just inputting data. It's going to run the program, and it's going to tell me what you stand to save if you utilize the program, how this is going to come together there. What does it take to qualify? We just went through short. That's why I say these are written as it could be at the very beginning, or it could be right at the end of your first appointment here before you ever got to. We need to go through, or we have already gone through a 10 to 15 minute short questionnaire that will give us the necessary information to determine if you qualify for the program. It's imperative that on average you are not spending more money than you earn annually, and we've already determined that. We've gone through it. We've done your analysis. We know that you're not spending more money than you earn. If we have, we've already ended the appointment. If we've gone through the analysis and they're completely upside down, they're not in an operative position, so to speak, to move forward, then we've kind of ended the process before we're going to move into a second appointment. This is, we've made our second appointment, or we're getting these questions moving into making our second appointment with our client. People love to qualify. People dislike the approval process. You know, you don't want to say we need to see if you get approved. We want to see if you qualify for the program, if this program is going to be a good fit for you. Qualifying should not feel like work. The process should be comfortable and subtle. When you qualify somebody, you know, you're asked, that's why we're building rapport, and we're doing qualifying questions and tie downs, and we're asking them questions that are not on the analysis about certain things. How long have you lived in the house? Is this the interest rate you got from a refi or when you first purchased? I noticed you have a garage. I saw the car in the driveway. I noticed you have a basketball court. There's, you know, your kids play basketball. How many kids do you have? I see the photos. You know, this whole process, you should set up a window for about an hour for the analysis appointment. I know that we talk about, you know, do you have 10 to 15 minutes? Well, that's what it's going to take to actually run through the information. But what's it going to be like shaking hands, meeting the husband and wife or a significant other, or sitting down at the dinner table, or going through the analysis, or having conversations about what's truly going on in their life? When I'm saying this, I'm not saying that you go to your appointment person that you're setting the appointment with and say, by the way, I need an hour. You know, that's how long it's going to take. No, I want you to set up in your schedule an hour of time, at least an hour. Many people, you'll be surprised, especially if you're talking about their finances, you're getting along well with them. An hour breezes by pretty quick talking to people about what's going on with their finances. Intention and commitment. Why then do we tell them 10 to 15 minutes? Well, time frame is irrelevant. All of the questions up to this point have been to qualify their intention and level of commitment. Never convince your client, educate, inform, and accommodate them. You know, everything that we have done up to this point, moving into the second appointment, you know, tell them that, you know, that could take longer than 10 to 15. Why did we tell them 10 to 15 on the first? Because we're trying to get a time frame. You tell people you want a half hour, 45 minutes, things of this nature, and you're going to have a heck of a time trying to set appointments with people. Once you get them there, if you're engaging, your information is good, your clients will sit, they'll listen to the information. What are the minimum requirements? Minimum requirements are that you have a checking and savings account, you not spend more money than you make annually. You know, we've done the analysis. Chances are, will my banker, my broker, my financial guy, planner, CPA, tax guy, know about this. Chances are they'll probably have not, or if they have heard, it's currently have enough information to make an informed decision regarding the benefit of the program for you individually. I'd be more than glad to present the Worth account to whoever it is with you as well. Here is one of those situations, after at the end of that first appointment, hey, look, I'm going to give it to my tax guy. I want to talk to him about it. Don't let your client do your presentation. Remember, we said in this first appointment, you should have vetted out, is there a secondary person? Is there a significant other or a spouse, a husband, a wife? The other thing you should have vetted out is, do they use a financial planner? Do they have somebody they run this kind of information by? Don't be afraid to run this information by somebody's financial planner to get in the hot seat, so to speak, with somebody that's professional. Bring in a three-way. You let the corporate office talk. Bring in your leader and have them talk to the bank and the CPA. Have them present when you're doing the analysis for the client. Do it at the CPA, the banker's office. Don't let somebody else represent your product, okay? Put yourself in a position where you're the one delivering the information. I heard it put this way one time to me: are you seriously telling me that you are going to allow someone that has limited exposure or knowledge of this product to make a decision for you that potentially could cost you $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 in future interest? Why wouldn't you let me meet with them and show them this product when I'm showing it to you? Let's get your analysis done, and then maybe we want to meet with your tax guy and everything to go over and how it works and how it's going to come together for you. And maybe that's the person we want to do a demo for. Don't be afraid of the individual that appears to be a professional in this arena. This could be a great door opener, a great way. If he, she has heard about it, chances are they have very limited understanding on how it would all come together for you. If you would like, I would be glad to present the Worth account to you and to them at the same time. Always, you want to be the one making the first introduction and not allow your prospect to translate your presentation on your behalf. That's why in this first appointment, you want to have the significant other there. You want the spouse. You want the other person that's going to be helping with the decisions. If you can have the tax guy, the CPA guy there, if you can have the family go to the tax guy's office and do the presentation there, oh my goodness. The more that you can get people involved in this and understanding, because this will actually pay you back in spades, because you get a CPA, financial planner, somebody like that looking at this and show them the videos and show them a demo. Show them how the program works, how it comes together. To professionals, this really does work, and they know it. And your biggest skeptics are the people that don't know a lot about finance. Your biggest skeptics are the individuals that are just trying to figure out how to pay their bills and how to get out of debt and how to do all that. When financial planners, bankers, CPAs, things of that nature look at this program and they see how it moves and how it interacts, they get it. They get excited by it. So if you can get in that arena, that is not a detraction for you. That is a benefit to you. Is there a website we can visit? Well, yes, your URL, your replicated site. Get them there so they can see those. Direct them to the YouTube site. We don't say anything in any of our trainings that I wouldn't want a client to be able to hear. We have our presentation videos. We have in the back office in the agent, we have the longer PowerPoint presentation of the product that breaks it down. We have we have so much information that you can give to the client on how this program works and how it comes together. Can I Google the Worth account? Well, yeah, but anybody that's asking about Googling by now, and even with social media, I think this has become kind of a foregone conclusion. They are going to Google you. They are going to find out bad stuff, and they're going to find out good stuff. So just tell them to weigh the good with the bad and get back to you, regardless of what they hear or see on Google. There's good and bad up there. If you feel like this will always be a question, get familiar with what's out there yourself. Put in Worth account. Put in, the Worth account program. Put in every derivation you can and see what you come up with. See what people find. And then balance that against what you already know. Being prepared is a seller's best defense. Yeah, I've read that article. Yeah, I've seen that. Did you see when it's from? It's from 2005, 2006. Is there anything really up there recent that, that defames us or hurts us in any way? No, this was all in our heyday when people were trying to knock us off the high horse and trying to break us down. But we weathered all that and we made it, through all of that. And here we are still today. I've heard of other products like this from competitors. What can you tell me about them? Here's where you have to tread a little bit lightly. And what I mean by that is when you're talking about competitors and things of that nature, don't ever slam somebody else. In the next slide, we're going to talk about Dave Ramsey a little bit, but the Worth Account is the only financial GPS on the market today. All other products can tell you where you have been and where you are today, like a static spreadsheet or paper roadmap. They're only as good as when you wrote them out. No other product or program has the ability to react in real time to unforeseen variables in your financial journey and make automatic decisions for you. In other words, there isn't anything out there that truly works like a GPS and can respond to you and react to you and interact with you. It's all very static. It's all cut and dry. We offer the only program on the market on which you can actually place your finances on autopilot. The Worth Account, unlike any other program out there, reacts in real time, has the ability to give you a forward view of your finances and recalculate your route automatically given any unforeseen financial variables. It also allows you to create projections and scenarios for upcoming financial needs. How about this one? I'm currently using Dave Ramsey's program, my institution, Social Group Church. Contrary to what you may have heard, we are not in competition with Dave Ramsey. Dave and his program have been helping consumers manage their budget for 2 decades, I don't know, maybe more now, 3 decades. But with Dave's program, all the work is manual and time intensive, and it's left up to you to instill the needed discipline and figure out what works best for you. I think the key here is that Dave's program, you have to manage your current situation. With the Worth Account, on the other hand, once you have gone through a simple setup of your current financial situation through one of our trainers, the program takes over and does the work for you. Our program follows you, not the other way around. The Worth Account gives you a visual track to run on with detailed prompts and reminders to keep you on course to achieving your financial freedom, your financial goals. I'm just trying to give you some language here. If you notice, and none of this is defaming, I've heard people say, great, if you're on Dave Ramsey's program, if you put this in place, it'll be like putting this program on steroids. This program works great. It's all manual. Our program works automatically and automated with you. So if you've already learned Dave's, situations and how he works with things, putting this into action is just going to help you all the better. So those are some of the questions that you'll receive. There's so many other questions that you may receive at the end of a first appointment, but those are like your big ones. If you give people what they need with clear intention and motivation, they will give back to you more than you could have ever possibly imagined. Approach your prospects to serve them, not to serve your own needs. Dr. Joan, do you have any closing remarks for us?
I would say don't be afraid of their questions. A lot of people are afraid to take action because they don't want to look stupid, like they don't know an answer. Don't be afraid of somebody's questions. It is okay to say, you know what, that's a great question. I don't have an answer for you, but the next time I come back, I'll have an answer and I'll be able to go over the results with you. Don't be afraid of their questions. I would also say that their questions that they do ask will actually give you great insight into what's important to them. So listen very closely to them. Again, don't be afraid of their questions. They're going to tell you what they need to hear to move forward. If they ask you about Dave Ramsey, well, they may be on it. They heard something about it, that it was exciting to them. That actually gives you great insight. Now you know that they believe in the concept, that they actually want to get out of debt, that they took the time to do the research. So their questions that they ask you will give you great insight if you take the time to listen. So embrace those questions, the questions that you ask them, embrace the questions that they ask you as well. And really in that first appointment, you're not there to answer a lot of the questions. You're there to gather the information, and you can tell them, you know what, that's a great question. That's actually something that we're going to review. on the next appointment. So we're all scheduled for such and such day at such and such time. I'll be able to answer that question then. Looking forward to doing it. So embrace the questions, take that information that they ask, and know that they're giving you great information as to what's important to them so that you can close them later.
Yeah, I thank you so much for that. Everything that we're doing up until this point, remember, we've started closing in the context that closing begins when you first introduce yourself and start shaking hands and finding out in your qualifying questions and everything that works with that. But we're still at a stage where these people haven't seen the results of what is going on yet and how this is all going to come together. So we want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. We are next week. Oh, yes. Yes.
Also this is me again. Wanted to make sure everybody checked their back office for events. We have a live meeting when you were mentioning all the different ways of getting potential customers, potential agents, to see what's going on. We do have a live meeting in Columbia, South Carolina, December 1st at 2:45 p.m. It's a Saturday. So it's a great way to come out, check where you are, invite other people in that area, and look in your back office for all the details where we're having the meeting. But I wanted to say something about Joan, what she just said. What Joan is saying is right. Don't be nervous about those questions, because that shows they're interested. They didn't shut you off. They didn't just say no. They started asking questions. That shows that they're interested in hearing more. And just understand that even if it doesn't go your way, and Mac, I'm just going to take this half a minute here. If it doesn't go your way, understand that it's, you didn't fail, you didn't do something wrong. You just keep on going. You just dig in and go to the next thing. Keep on moving. And there's something I got on my desk. It says, if you fail, never give up, because FAIL means first attempt in learning. And if you think it's the end, it's not the end. In fact, N means effort never dies. And the last one I thought was really cool. If you get no as an answer, remember NO means what? Next one. Keep very positive, because 2018 is not over yet. You can do lots of things. And 2019 will show the efforts of your work right through the end of the year. So don't stop now. Just keep on going. And remember, don't look back, because that's not the direction you're going in. Keep looking forward, keep moving forward, and take all these lessons that you're hearing over this time and apply what you can to make your business the business that you want it to be. Don't be a secret agent. Tell somebody about this. So thanks for that minute there, Mac.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Darlene. We always appreciate you having on the call. We appreciate your insight, Dr. Joan. Appreciated your insight. Always appreciate you on the call. Just everybody, thank you for joining us this evening. We hope that everyone will have an absolutely wonderful week, and that this helped us jumpstart your week off right. And let's get out there and do it big. Let's get out there and do it right. But at the very least, let's get out there and do something right now. This is Max Saunders saying bye-bye for now.